Okay. So thank you for your comments about the campaign. Really glad it went well. I just wanted to kind of reiterate and ask, because I did send correspondence to both you and Kate on both your officer account and your personal account. So I was wondering why there was no response on that front. If it was just a kind of missed email, then I understand, but just.
Yeah, hi Ben. I'm actually just searching now because if I did get it, I'm sorry. I never read it. I apologize. It would have just got lost under everything else. I get all my work emails sent to my university account as well because you have to use a uni account to register with the tutoring. So a lot of the time with my personal account, things just get dwarfed under everything else. So I do apologize for missing that one. My mistake.
Okay, and Rabs, do you have another question, or is that just your hand still raised from before?
Yeah, I've got another question.
Okay, go ahead.
I was just wondering again, Jennifer, as LGBT president, our society was kind of looking for two liberation officers to be involved in the trans awareness campaign. I was just going to say, in future reference, when there are awareness weeks in terms of for trans people, our society is always there for you to contact. So I was just wondering why you didn't choose to contact us when you found out that there was a Trans Awareness Week.
I think I speak for a lot of people in this, that the term really kind of happened very quickly and everything unfolded very much. I didn't receive any correspondence from Lgbt Society for this as well. So I just want to reiterate that it was genuinely a case of a missed email from Ben, and I think he did such a good job with it. Honestly, I think it was such a brilliant campaign. I followed it. I've seen the YouTube. It was really good, and I'm really glad it went so well. In future, I'm more than happy to work with LGBT Society. But I think it was the right wires being crossed. So I apologise for that, but definitely in the future, if you want to get in touch.
Just another question. Would there not have been any mention, as Racial Equality Officer last year, whenever there was a campaign, there was a lot of correspondence between all of the whole officer team in WAC committee, in Officers Forum, a lot of these different meetings. So was Trans Awareness Week just not mentioned at all in any of them?
Well, like I said in response to your first question, it was mentioned in WAC, but by that point it very much felt like it had kind of been planned and sort of definitely underway. And to be honest, I really thought Ben was doing such a good job organising it. Like I said, I didn't know I was going to be involved with that. I felt like it was something that, and again, this is due to the missed email, but I think Ben did such a good job with it. So a really good job with that one. And definitely in the future, I'm more than happy to.
All right, thank you. Does anyone else have any more questions? Ben, is that another question, or is that okay? All right, I'll do 10 more seconds for any more questions because we do need to get moving on now. Okay, so that's all the question mandates finished. Wonderful. We now move on to the officer reports and the executive committee minutes. Are they there? Yep, there they are. Do we have any disagreements? Anyone like to raise a complaint about those? If so, you have 15 seconds. Okay, they're deemed passed. Right, so Liberation Officer and NUSU Chair end of term reports. Now Harris has already mentioned it, however I had made a note to mention it. We didn't receive an end of term report from the International Students Officers, the BAME Officers and the Community Students Officers. However, of course, we have now cleared up the fact that the International Students Officers report was missing because of a mistake. So, you know, that's fine. Just make sure next time that you'll get them in, guys. And if you would like to send them in retroactively, I believe you still can. So does anyone have any disputes or any complaints or any disagreements about the Liberation Officer and NUSU Chair end of term reports? If so, please make yourself known in the next 10 seconds. We'll go 10 for this one. Okay, they're deemed passed. Sabbatical officer end of term reports. Now again, all of them were handed in apart from one from Ella, although if you want to send that in retroactively, I'm sure they'll let you. And I will give again 10 seconds for any disagreements starting now. If you have any disagreements, please make them known. Okay, there's none, and they've passed. Wonderful. We now go on to the motions. There are no business motions this evening, so we'll start with the constitutional motion. So, who's the proposer for this one? Dorothy. Dorothy, if you would like to speak on the motion, I'll give you 2 minutes, starting from when you begin talking.
Yeah, so this motion is basically about elections this year. They're supposed to, like, election campaigning, but like marketing from us is supposed to start in December. So this is the count before that, so we thought we'd bring it up here. It's basically about letting the junior returning officer, who in this case is Lindsay, make decisions about whether elections should be online. Given that today we've moved into tier 3 after lockdown, it just makes sense to make it equitable and fair for everybody that will want to run online, will want to run so that they can run online regardless of where they are in the country. So it just allows basically Lindsay to make decisions that she deems fair and appropriate about elections. This doesn't let her overstep her boundaries because she still has a set of rules that she has to follow as junior returning officer, and there is a senior returning officer in the university to also kind of check and balance that. So basically, we just resolve that to put it more online. And then it also allows for it to lapse next year if it's not necessary when the next sabbatical officers come in and do the business motion that we passed last council.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. If anyone has any questions about the motion, please raise your hand now. We have one from Tobias.
Hi, I welcome the motion. I'm just wondering about the debating part of elections are a massive deal. I'm just wondering whether they could still partially stay on campus or whether they'll be live streamed, and just wondering about that aspect of campaigning when it comes to elections this year or the next coming academic year.
Yeah, that's definitely still something that we, oh yeah, Lindsay's there. Lindsay, do you want to go?
Yeah, sure. Tobias, it'll just all depend on the regulations and where we are at that point. It would be great if we could have some kind of in-person events over elections. We'll just have to be kind of flexible when we see where we are come that time of year, which is not that far into the term really. So I imagine mainly we'll be online, but obviously if we can do something, then I'll make sure that we do.
Any more questions for Dorothy regarding the motion? I'll give 5 more seconds for questions. Okay, no more questions. Oh, hang on, I've been sent a message by someone. Oh, that's not regarding this. Wonderful. Okay, no more questions. If you would like to start the debate, this is quite a big one, so this is quite a big one, so I'll do 2 for and 2 against. If anyone would like to speak for the motion, please raise your hand now. Okay, we have one from Tobias and one from Hannah. So Tobias, you raised your hand first, so I'll let you speak for the motion. You have 2 minutes.
Oh, sorry.
You have 2 minutes.
From now, cool. I welcome the motion. I think it's really good, especially concerning people's health. But also, again, I think this is reiterated in previous years' motions with the environmental impact. We've seen that campaigns can happen online with the campaign that went on last academic year. So again, I welcome this. when it comes to the environmental concerns around campaigning in general that we see on campus.
Okay, thank you very much. Would anyone like to speak against the motion? I take it that Hannah doesn't want to speak against the motion. Yeah. So does anyone want to speak against the motion? Anyone at all? I think that's going to be a no. Okay. I'm going to have to open the pool again, Hannah, but if no one else raises a hand, I'll let you go. Would anyone like to speak for the motion? Okay, it's Hannah. Hannah, you have 2 minutes starting now.
I'll not need it, I'm concise. Basically, I think it's just better for the welfare of the candidates more than anything. It's a very anxious time, regardless of the global pandemic. So having it all online at the beginning makes sure that everyone that applies for a role knows what they're in for, basically.
Wonderful. And we'll now move on to the second against. Would anyone like to speak against? If so, you have 5 seconds to raise your hand. No. Okay. Those are the speaking for and against over. We'll now go on to the vote. You all have the Ombia code. However, if you don't, please message George in the chat, and we will we'll open the vote now. And this is a constitutional motion. It will require a 2/3 majority. And if you are having technical problems whilst voting, please message George, and then he will pass it on to us. And then we will try and get that sorted for you as soon as possible. Pardon? How many potential voters do we have? We have 4. Okay. Yeah. Close the vote. Okay, and with 87 to 30%, that has passed. Okay, next motion. That was the end of the constitutional motions. So we're now on to ordinary motions. And this one is regarding EDI training. And that has been also proposed by Dorothy Cheerwer. So Dorothy, from when you begin speaking, you have 2 minutes, whenever you're ready.
Gosh, you're really hearing a lot of my voice tonight, aren't you guys? But basically, this EDI motion, this motion is about making EDI training part of the essential training that club and society and also media exec members get. Basically, they're already given training to do with health and safety, finance, initiations, and for us, we just think EDI is the next logical step. NUSU has been doing a lot of work surrounding EDI at the moment, and we think that should trickle down to our committees. Basically, we just think it will create a more welcoming environment for minority and marginalised groups that may not engage in NUSU in the same way. And so hopefully, if everybody did, if every person with influence in a society, club or media exec did undertake EDI training, it would be more beneficial and would create a better, more inclusive environment for anybody that wants to take part in society or club or media activity.
Thank you very much, Dorothy. We'll now have questions. Oh, there's already one from Rabs. Rabs, you can ask your question.
Yeah, that sounds great. I was just wondering, would that be committee members? Sorry if this is already in the thing, I'm just trying to read it, but would it be all committee members in the societies, or would it just be exec and welfare?
It's exec, so it's any it's any member who has to undertake necessary, so it would be exec and social secretary.
Okay, thank you. Is welfare in exec now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Brilliant, okay.
Okay, and we have another question from Tobias.
Sorry, it's me again. I'm just
No
wondering,
problem.
I'm just, thanks Chris anyway. I'm just wondering who will be like delivering the EDI training, whether it will be delivered in-house with people who are been trained, or will it be delivered by an external partner like they did with, I think it was with welfare officer training. I'm just wondering if there's any plans of which directions it's going to go.
So we're definitely still in the planning phase, but currently there is a plan to maybe do a double-edged approach. So kind of create an in-house EDI training that can be delivered alongside the activities officer, editor of the Courier, and AU officer alongside the EDI lead here at NUSU. And then also we have been working with Show Racism and the Red Card a little bit. And is it Show Racism and the Red Card, or? Yeah, it is. I get my charities mixed up. And so maybe there is an opportunity for them to do that. But we are also doing an EDI audit of NUSU, so it could kind of come up within that as well. So.
We have a question from Stephen Dawes. Stephen. Oh, he's disappeared. Where did he go? Did he just leave? Oh, there he is. All right, Stephen.
Hello.
Ask away.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we
Sorry
can hear you
about that.
now.
I was just going to ask, is the idea of this, it's basically going to be sort of delivered, you know, on the day where you basically get your executive in, well, in normal times, you get them in venue, and it sort of just be delivered alongside the secretary, president, and treasurer briefings that they give, and you just get all three in the thing and just brief them then? Or do you think it'd be a separate event sort of thing? Just wondering.
It would depend on the nature of the training that we do decide, so and also on how long everything else takes. So the plan currently is to be able to kind of deliver all as one overall training day that the committee members attend, but obviously sometimes due to, like, it depends. So like this year training was a bit more like stop-starty because a whole day of a Zoom is a bit more difficult. So it just kind of depends on where we are. I know that's not really a comprehensive answer, but I feel like it's difficult to make comprehensive answers when we're living through these, as they would say, unprecedented times.
We have a question from Caitlin Halfacre.
Hi, thank you very much. Sorry, I can't have my video on at the moment.
No problem.
Just a question about point 3 of your SU Council notes. I don't think is actually correct. The link that you've provided as the reference for that is for the EDI rep, which is not the general school rep role, the school rep role. It's more of a, I hate that, it's more of a comment than a question. I don't believe that point's correct. If it is, it's worth checking that's happening, because I'm a school rep and I don't think I've had EDI training.
Sorry, that was a mistype on my part. It is the fact that there is already EDI reps, so we wanted to kind of trickle it down, but I would welcome an amendment to make it EDI school reps already have to undertake. Yeah, thanks.
Should I propose that as an amendment?
Yeah.
Chair, I don't know to do this, but I propose an amendment to point 3 of Student Council notes that school EDI reps have to undertake EDI training.
Hang on a moment. I'm just consulting with my. No, not your fault. I'm just consulting with my team about whether we need an amendment for that. So if you just bear with us for 30 seconds, I'll let you know. All right.
Of course, thank you.
So because this isn't a resolve, it doesn't have to be changed. This should have been picked up by steering. So if steering wants to look into making that mistake, then that would be something steering would have to do. But this doesn't actually have to change the motion, as it doesn't affect a resolve. So as long as everyone's okay with that, then that's no problem.
Great, thank you. I just wanted to check it wasn't something getting lost.
No problem. Is your hand still raised? Can you want to ask another question, or you just forgot to lower it? Oh, okay, there you go. We've got another hand raised from Tobias.
Yeah, I just quickly wanted to ask, again, it sort of links to the first part of my question that I asked before. depending on the route that you go down, I'm just wondering how often the training is going to be reviewed, because I know that there's been past issues, especially when it came to like teaching students about consent, and I just wouldn't want things to get lost. Obviously, we live in a very progressive climate where things change all the time, new information comes out, and I'm just wondering if that's considered. I guess so, it will be. But.
Dorothy, let's answer that question.
Hannah's coming in.
Hello. So basically, training gets reviewed every year by the different athletic union and activities officer, and now editor as well. Anyway, so it gets reviewed once a year, no matter what kind of training it is. So if me and Benta and Ella start training on EDI this year, it'll get reviewed by us, obviously, and then it'll get reviewed by whoever steps into our shoes.
Okay, we're gonna. Oh, we have one more question. Sorry, I assume there were no more. One more question from Elias Aldahan. Elias.
Hello, sorry. Just a basic question. What is, it might be my ignorance, what's anti-initiation training? What is that about? Just not sure.
Benta?
Both the athletic union, both the activities officer and I give training, which includes mostly on dangerous behavior. So maybe anti-initiations isn't the best wording for it. It's mostly focused on dangerous behaviors. So that's included in our training every year. I don't know if that answers your question.
Okay. Do you feel as that answers your question, Elias?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. If there are no more questions, we'll move on to the vote. Any more questions? No? Okay. Oh, sorry, no, we won't move on to the vote. We'll move on to the debate. I apologise. Again, we'll have 2 for and 2 against. So who would like to speak for the motion? Already got a hand up there from Hannah. Hannah, would you like to take it away? You have 2 minutes from when you start speaking.
Absolutely, let's go. So most people who take part in clubs and societies are primarily white students. And often a lot of members of the BAME and LGBTQ+ and disabled communities often feel left out and alienated by joining clubs and societies. So having EDI training makes sure that executive committee members know how to include these people and how not to alienate them. And a lot of these people don't feel comfortable coming forward with their concerns, but having this training makes sure that they might not have to, because the societies and clubs and the media are already inclusive. So yeah.
Okay. Would anyone like to speak against the motion? I'll give you 5 seconds to raise your hand. Okay. Would anyone else like to speak for the motion? Oh, we have one from Bente. Bente, if you want to say, you have 2 minutes from when you start speaking.
Thanks. I just wanted to add on what Hannah said. I think it's a really important motion, and it mandates the activities officer and AU officer to continue this even when we're gone, because Hannah and I have quite a lot of self-input. There's basics what we have to present, but with putting this in a motion, we know and we're certain that this is going to continue in the following years as well. So I think it's really important to continue with this motion. Thanks.
Okay, and we have one final against. Does anyone wish to speak against the motion? If so, please raise your hands for the next 5 seconds. No? Okay, can we open the poll, please? And as this is a normal motion, it only requires a 50% or more to pass. Okay, yep, let's close it. And with 83 to 18, that has passed. Right, and there's one more motion, I believe. Oh, is that it? Yep, that's the last motion, yes, this next one. There's one more after this. That one there. Yeah, this is the last motion of the evening. Motion to lobby the university for more gender-neutral toilets on campus and to ensure that they will be distinct from disabled toilets. Now, who is proposing this one?
I am.
Ben's proposing this one. Okay, Ben, you have 2 minutes from when you start speaking, whenever you're ready.
Hi everyone. So this is a motion to kind of lobby the university and the SU for the inclusion of more gender-neutral toilets on campus and making sure that these are distinct from disabled toilets. 1 in 6 trans students feel unable to use a toilet they feel comfortable with at university. Trans and non-binary people often refrain from using toilets outside their house out of fear of confrontation. Some trans and gender non-conforming people report being verbally harassed, physically attacked, and or sexually assaulted whilst using a bathroom. They've become more commonplace, but many gender-neutral provisions are often only accessible facilities. So able, trans, and non-binary people were hesitant to use them in fear of taking up space that would be taking up space from disabled people. And the NUSU's inclusive policy commits the union to eliminate barriers for marginalised students and campaign for inclusivity of their students within the university. So the council believes that trans and non-binary students having access to safe, inclusive toilets is important, and that they should be available in all campus and student union buildings. Okay, and on to resolves. The council resolves to lobby the university to construct gender-neutral toilets alongside gendered spaces to an appropriate degree in new buildings and renovations to existing buildings, as they happen pretty frequently. To lobby the university to review existing buildings and look to the development and signage of gender-neutral toilets within them, and to ensure that gender-neutral toilets are available separate to disabled toilets both in the SU buildings and campus-wide.
Okay, thank you very much, Ben. If there are any questions for Ben, please raise your hand now. No, none so far. I'll give it another 10 seconds unless there are any questions. Oh, one question. Got just in time there, Tobias. What is your question? Are you still muted, Tobias?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. So I'm just wondering whether you could add a point into engaging trans and non-binary students in the design of these toilets, or if the university decides to implement this, because sometimes, especially if cisgender people are designing toilets, they aren't always the most appropriate or the most safe. And I just think with gender neutral toilets, they just have to be designed properly. And if we could get the voices of trans and non-binary students in that process, it would be great.
Yeah, I completely agree. So that could definitely be an amendment to the resolve section.
If you would like to submit resolves, I believe there's a resolves form been sent out, hasn't there? Okay. They'd like to add an amendment. No problem. If you would like to submit that amendment to, would it submit it to George? If you would like to submit that amendment to cdc.union, and then once you've sent it in, then we will add it to the motion as long as Ben is happy with that. Yep, wonderful. Okay, whilst you're doing that, Tobias, that's send that to cdc.union. Whilst you're doing that, Elias, pardon me. Whilst you're doing that, Tobias, Elias has a question.
Thank you, Chris. Just wondering, Ben, is this proposing to construct new toilets, or are you redesigning already present toilets? Because if you're asking to build new ones, I believe that would require all sorts of things. Obviously, you need things like planning permission and so forth. So, are you just redesigning already available toilets or building new ones?
Well, as the resolve kind of says, it's kind of to construct gender neutral in like new buildings and renovations to existing buildings. So I've included them because it would be a time in which construction is already taking place, and so it would kind of tie in with the planning that the union would take. It can be something that is looked at as well. There is also the section of to review existing buildings and look to existing facilities, and kind of looked at the development and signage of the gender neutral toilets within them. So it is both of those things, but yeah, I included it as new buildings and renovations because that's when construction would already be taking place.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any more questions? I don't believe there are any more questions. Okay, we will just wait until Tobias has sent in that amendment. And then as soon as Tobias has sent in that amendment, we'll go to voting. Pardon? Oh yes, of course. Sorry, I always get confused. Whilst we're still waiting for that to be sent from Tobias, if you would like to do a for and against, I will take 2 for and 2 against. Have you opened the... Oh. Okay, that hasn't opened, don't worry. Okay, so I'll take... Oh, I assume that everyone with their hand up has put their hand up to speak for the motion. Okay, a lot of shaking heads on the screen. Okay, well, seeing as how Nadia is at the top, I'll go with Nadia. You have 2 minutes from when you start speaking. Anytime you're ready.
Yeah, I'm massively in support of this motion. I think it's essential that we meet the basic needs of all of our student community, and currently they are compromised to a certain extent until we have kind of the space where they feel safe and they feel important, they feel included. I think it goes without saying for me, and I'm very much in support, and I'll definitely be working with Ben to push this up the university ladder.
Okay, if anyone would like to speak against the motion, please raise your hand now. I'll give you 5 seconds. Okay, if anyone would like to speak for the motion, please raise your hand. Oh, straight off the button there, Rabs. 2 minutes from whenever you start speaking. Go ahead.
Yeah, like Nadia said, I'm completely against. No, I'm completely for this motion. Like Ben said, it's not fair for trans and non-binary people to be forced to use disabled toilets because gender identity is a disability. And secondly, it's not fair for disabled students to be forced to share their space, their safe space, with people who are able-bodied, like Ben mentions in his motion. So I think this is just a basic right for all students to have access to toilets. And it's very easily done, I think, because there are many bathrooms throughout campus, and renovating them to be gender neutral won't take as much building as it seems. But so I just think it's an easy, good way to making sure all students are heard and represented. So please say yes to the motion.
Okay, thank you very much, Rabs. Well, now I'll give 5 seconds for anyone who would like to speak against the motion. 5 seconds starting now. If anyone would like to raise their hand. Okay, no one speaking against. Now, just to check, Ben, we have now added the amendment. So could you and Tobias please just give us a thumbs up or a raise a hand or whatever if that's okay. Yep, that's a raised hand from Tobias, so he's okay with that. And Ben, have you seen that? Wonderful. Okay, they both agreed that's what it's fine. So we'll now go to a vote. Open the poll. Poll is now open. Almost. Okay, let's close the poll. And with 87 to and 13 against, that motion is deemed passed. Those are all the motions. That concludes the motion section of the evening. We're now just going to the elections for positions selected by council. Now, these are ones which we didn't manage to fill last time because this is the second round. If you would like to submit your application to one of these positions, are they messaging George? Yeah, so please message George Watkins in the chat if you would like to apply to any of these roles. And I'll just give you, we'll say, should we say 5-minute break? Yeah, I suppose so. Okay, no break, I'm afraid. Whilst we're speaking about that, if the people who are in charge of these committees would like to say a few words about them, so can the person who leads disciplinary committee, can they please just say, a few words about what disciplinary committee does and why people should join?
Hey, yeah, that's me. I run disciplinary. So disciplinary committee is part of the disciplinary framework that we have, and it essentially hears cases, here's the complaints that have been escalated to us if it's regarding an individual student or a group of students who aren't associated with a official student group. So it won't cover complaints against media societies or clubs, for example, but it'll handle complaints against students within the kind of remit that NUSU deals with disciplinary issues, so things happening with the students' union. Essentially how it works roughly is if a case gets escalated and myself and the investigation officer agree it needs to be heard, then 2 members of the committee get convened into a panel and they basically hear the case and then decide what the sanctions are. So it's very possible that you may be on the committee and not actually be asked to be convened and brought on it. It just depends on if and when complaints get brought to us. But that's it.
Thank you very much, Harris. If we would have the head of steering committee would like to just say a few words on why steering committee is the place to be, you can now.
Yeah, so myself and Charlotte co-chair steering. It's basically where we review council motions before they come to council, just to check that they're in the right format, check for any sort of grammatical errors that might be there. And yeah, Charlotte, Dorothy, Chris also sits on this committee, and a bunch of student representatives also join us who won't be on your own list join it.
Yeah, so if you'd like to see more of me, why not apply? And then will the person who runs the WAC committee like to say a few words on WAC and why people should join?
Yeah, of course. So WAC is a lovely meeting. We've got lots of international students. So it was very fun being able to have lots of different people from across the world in the last meeting. But we basically hear updates from liberation officers, and we hear about future campaigns, and we run through kind of all the campaigns that are currently running and that are previously run, and future campaigns too. So people have lots of opportunity to get involved. Yeah, so that's WAC in a nutshell.
Thank you very much, Nadia. All right, I'll give people 10 more seconds to make themselves known to George Watkins in the chat. Okay, so nominations for that is now closed. Can we have the name, please? Oh, thank you. Okay, so we have unfortunately no application as to join disciplinary. However, we have 2 nominations for the 1 place available for steering, which comes from Stephen Dawes and Shai Yassine. And then we have 1 nomination for WAC committee, and that comes from Rabs. If considering that there's only one place for welfare and there's only been one application for it, we won't have to do any elections for that. So therefore there'll be no need for speeches or anything. However, considering that there is only one place for steering and we have 2 applications, if Stephen Dawes and Shah would like to say a few words, that would be greatly appreciated. Stephen Dawes, if you would like to go first, you have 1 minute from whenever you start speaking.
Well, hi guys, I'm Stephen Dawes. I was on steering committee last year as I was the chair of council. I understand how the motions documents work, and most of what steering is essentially checking that it's grammatical referenced correctly with appropriate sources, and checking that the motion does what it's intended to do, with basically accurate references to the NUSU constitution and things. I'm fairly good at that. I remember doing it. It was good. It was good fun last year, and I'd be happy to do it again. Thank you very much. That's all I think I need to say. Cheers.
Okay, thank you very much, Stephen. If Shah would like to say a few words, you have 1 minute from when you start.
Hi everyone, I'm Shah Yassin Ali. I'm interested in applying for the steering committee because I think it would be a great opportunity to learn new skills. I'm a first year law student, so I'd really like to get involved with the society. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So that will go towards an election, which will be on email, and you should get that tonight. Next week. You should get that email next week, so keep looking at your inboxes. And then given that Rabs is uncontested for WAC committee, it will just be a case of Ben Campbell, you've raised your hand.
Sorry, that was a misclick.
No problem. I was about to say, if anyone has any objections to Rabs being on WAC, I don't think I've ever seen an objection before to anything on here, so that would be quite a new one. Okay, if anyone has any objections to Rabia Chima joining the WAC committee, please make it be known now. You have 5 seconds starting now. Please raise your hand. Okay. Rabs is now on WAC committee. Wonderful. That's another thing finished. Right, we are now almost finished. Can you believe that? I will allow 5 student notices if there are, and then if time allows, we can allow some more. So we've got 2 already. So Rabs, you have a minute.
Hi. So I'm president of the Lgbt Society, and we are doing an AIDS campaign starting next Monday, which focuses on the AIDS pandemic and everything that happened with that. We have 3 events for that, and we've made a lot of social media infographics, and it kind of focuses on the AIDS pandemic and the history of the AIDS crisis, but also present day. Hosting a discussion event about AIDS versus COVID-19, because obviously those are 2 big pandemics that happened and are happening. So please come to that and check out our social medias, because it's going to be really interesting, especially considering the current climate, discussing about the AIDS crisis versus COVID-19 and reactions to that and stuff. So please come along and check it out.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Rabs. Tobias, you were second. Again, you have a minute from whenever you start speaking.
Yeah, so it's also on a similar light, but it's also in a different direction. So I'm welfare officer for YSA, and part of our network next week, we are doing a day of action on the Tuesday, I think, or sometime. My timings aren't great, but basically we're getting together, we're inviting our MPs along, and we're going to try and lobby them to make sure that they commit to the Global Fund, which is basically to increase access to medicines for HIV, malaria, and TB. So if anyone wants to get involved in that, I think the links should be up on our Facebook page. Sign up, lobby your MP, invite them along, and it'll be great to see as many people as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tobias. Sean, you have 1 minute from when you start speaking.
Chris, you can get my name right. It's Sean. I've said it plenty of times to you. Anyway,
I said Sean, didn't I? I said
well, yeah, okay. I'm just going to say what I'm going to say, right? So on the 7th of December, my tuition-free vote closes on the SOS page. So you need to vote in that if you want to get your voice heard on tuition fees. And also, the President's State of the Union address has never been guillotined. And I think considering all the effort that Dorothy has put into that State of the Union, we should allow Dorothy to finish if she wishes. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. I do apologise. I will get it right, I promise. I am trying. That's 3. There's space for 2 more if anyone else would like to have any more notices. 5 seconds for that if you want to raise your hand. Okay, no one's done that. That's the end of student. Oh, just got me there before the gavel there, Hannah. Go ahead.
I thought I might, be a bit sneaky with that one. I just completely agree. I think hearing Dorothy's State of the Union would make everyone's Christmas and winter break a better experience than what it might be anyway. So I think we should let Dorothy say the State of the Union report.
If she can give me an estimate on how long it will be.
Give me 3 minutes. I think we got halfway through, so give me 2 to 3 minutes and I can finish it.
I will allow 2 extra minutes. I will allow 2 extra minutes just because it seems that the consensus that it's wanted. So I will give you 2 extra minutes starting now. Go.
I think I got to talking about how we are writing a letter to the City Council and the head of police, and hopefully they'll do something. Will they make the nice list this year? Stay tuned. They could be getting cold if they don't reply to my emails. Our Decolonizing campaign is now underway, and we've held successful staff briefing sessions for both NUSU and Newcastle staff, as well as running panels that are really successful. If you want to know more, please visit our page at nusu.co.uk/decol. There's also a list of other really cool campaigns and welcome packs that have been going on, such as Black History Matters, our BAME welcome pack, and Ben's amazing Gay Guide to Newcastle. Sian's also running her SOS campaign, which she's mentioned, so please go check that out. We've also been doing a lot of EDI work. Nadia and myself have been heavily involved in a lot of streams relating to EDI and the REC, which is the Race Equality Charter. There's a list of bullet points that you can read about all the amazing work that Nadia and I have been doing. Alongside this work, we've been looking at how other SUs and institutions have been taking forward similar work and how they've approached it. This includes the potential for EDI commitment and pledge statement, assessing best practice and the use of externally delivered diversity and inclusion workshops for leadership teams and senior management around the SU. NUSU is looking to use the new university training matrix as a basis for formulating our own, which we can add once further recommendations are made. A project framework is currently being drawn up for NUSU so we can track progress, actions and changes. And alongside that, a consultant brief and expression of interest document is being drawn up, which we can give to providers before we engage in a conversation with them about costs and delivery for an EDI audit here at NUSU. And because this is the last council before we break up for winter break, I just wanted to wish you all season's greetings, a happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and a happy New Year to all. Hopefully 2021 will be better because nothing can be worse than 2020. Thank you.
Wow, 10 seconds to go. 10 seconds to go. That's 10 seconds off. I'm very impressed. Although, remember, next time, try and make them 2 minutes. But very well done. I'm very impressed at the speed.
We do a lot of work.
I know. Got to learn speed speak, Right, one last one because he's raised his hand, bless him. William Hayes, you have a minute.
Oh, thanks, Chris. Very kind. Yes, actually, it's not the best. It's not the best update. It's quite sad actually. This month, well, earlier on the 7th, we witnessed in the Jewish community, we witnessed the passing of Jonathan Sachs. I've been in correspondence with JSOC over it, and it's been a real blow. He was probably one of the most famous and greatest living rabbis of our time, and beyond his commitment to religion, he was also a political philosopher and activist of the highest order, really. And his teachings of his distrust of technological progression and his slightly more out there, more kind of lateral thinking is something I think we could all we could all do with in these frightening and unprecedented times. In fact, one of his biggest contributions in just before he died, sadly, was a sort of he did a web series on how to deal with the lockdown and the pandemic spiritually. And I just think
I will have to stop you there, Will. It has been your minute, but thank you very
No worries.
much. No problem whatsoever. Thank you very much. Okay, as long as there are no more notices, we have now had our 5, so congratulations. We'll move on to the open debate, which is what should the university and students' union do to support students at this difficult time? Now, given as this isn't so, for those of you who don't know, we didn't manage to get onto this last time. This is a open discussion. So this isn't a debate or anything. This isn't a debate, and nothing that we do here really forces the union to do anything. It's just something interesting that we like to try and do to, brighten the evening at the end. So given that we have done excellently on time, I will take six people with 2 minutes to speak on it each. So that will give us, a whole range of opinions for the open debate. So the question is, what should the university and students' union do to support students at this difficult time? And I believe we have a raised hand from Tobias Lawrence. Your 2 minutes starts whenever you begin speaking.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Again, it's me. So I think what this pandemic has highlighted is the relationship that the university itself has and the reliance on private landlords. I think that the university needs to try and remove itself from this position, because landlordism has been a massive factor in the bulk movement of students at the start of term to begin with. So again, I'd like to see maybe possibly in the future the Students' Union lobbying the university on this basic business-like structure that has been fully exposed with COVID-19, and try and take a good stance on that. Thank you.
Okay, that's the first open debate over with. Sorry, the first point over with. If anyone else would like to raise your hand, Will, you've got your hand raised again, although I'm not sure if that was the same from before. I'm not sure if you can hear me either. No matter, I will leave it for the time being. Sunil Roger has his hand raised. Would you like to go ahead?
Good evening, thank you. The thing that I would like to raise is the university's relationship and that of the higher education sector as a whole with the government. What we've seen during COVID-19 has been that the government, this isn't a party political thing, this is a general thing, that the government through the Department for Education has provided guidance without any additional funding, which has put universities in a position where they have encouraged people to come back and be present in person. And then obviously the situation has been changing around everybody. And then we've had to cancel face-to-face teaching and so on and so forth. And all the way through reading the pack that was presented today in detail, it becomes clear that, for example, in the Senate documents, that the university has had to be very, very reactive to changing government guidance where it even exists, and actually an absence of guidance. And so I would like the union, the student union, to consider trying to put some pressure on the university to think about this bigger picture, to try and be more proactive in engaging with the government rather than waiting, because it makes it very difficult for the university to then provide a good experience for students. More proactive thinking in terms of the services provided would then obviously allow more time to deliver good services for students, whatever that may be. And that could be in terms of additional financial support, additional resources, or whatever that is. I just feel that the reactive nature of what's happened this semester has been detrimental to everyone. And if at all possible, can we try to avoid that next semester? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sunil. That's 2. Do we have anyone else who would like to speak on what they feel as though the university and SU could be doing? 2 minutes, starting whenever you start speaking.
in my opinion, I feel like the university and the student union should come together and provide a student safety package. Within this safety package, the university and students union ensures that students can get out of their accommodation contracts, like deposit contracts, if they have any, because a lot of students have already traveled back home and they're planning to travel back home. With the uncertainty of semester two being online at the same time, we don't know if they're coming back or not. So that's one of the package, like one of the element of a student safety package. Another one should be like the university is already doing mass testing on campus, which is really good. That could be added within this student safety package. Apart, some more hygiene measures could be implemented within this package as well. So it should be a one complete package delivered to all the students, so students feel confident with the university and the students union and feel like the university and union is actually looking after them, because at the moment a lot of students feel insecure that there's no one to look after this. So that's my opinion, and feel free to have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Husnain. Would anyone else like to speak on the open debate? Oh, we have just a quick question. Sunil and Tobias, you still have your hands raised. Is that just from before? Okay, they've both disappeared
Apologies.
now. No problem whatsoever. They've both disappeared now, so I imagine it was from before. Caitlin Halfacre, you have 2 minutes from when you start speaking.
Thank you very much. This is probably not so different from maybe the first couple of points, but I think one of the biggest things that University and Students' Union can do for students is to provide certainty in an uncertain world. And I think this looks, probably like Sunil said, in being proactive rather than reactive, in making decisions and then sticking to them rather than reacting to every change in policy. And that may mean that we have to be more careful in university policies than the current restrictions mean, but it would give students certainty. And I also think that part of that means being very, very clear with students what's being offered. So when the discussion with in-person teaching was happening, students were saying they wanted it without, I think, knowing what it was. So like colours on the mast, I'm a PGR, so I do TAing, and I don't think the students who thought they were coming to seminars present in person, they thought they were going to be normal seminars, rather than realizing that they were going to be seminars kind of spaced out in masks, smaller numbers, etc. So that kind of complete certainty and clarity, I think, is really, really important for students who just feel like the world is swirling around them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We have space for a few more. If anyone else would like to speak on this, please feel free to raise your hand. Otherwise, we will call council to a close. I will allow... Oh, one from Charlotte. Go ahead, Charlotte.
Hi, yeah, I just wanted to respond to some of what have been said and kind of say what would help us as, I guess, the SU as well to help you guys. I definitely agree we'd love some more certainty. But I think it's important to remember that a lot of the time we as kind of officers and the Students' Union and the university separately hear things at the same time as everyone else. So it is quite difficult to be proactive when things are changing so suddenly. But I definitely agree there's more to be done at certain points. And I think what would help us is if people come to us with queries and questions, because sometimes we get them at council, but then we don't always get a chance to answer them. And it's quite helpful to have these conversations, and myself and Sean have been having conversations today with Husnain and other students about some of the issues that have been raised today, and we just think it's really helpful to continue that dialogue. And if people want, you know, some people find it easier to talk over email as well. If there's something you want for support, come to us, because we are in a lot of meetings where we can do what we can, but I would just like to reiterate that we often get a lot of the same guidance at the same time, and we have to quickly adapt. Hannah and Benza have been tearing their hair out all year trying to work out what society and club events are allowed, and even if they are allowed, what's actually moral to do in the pandemic. So yeah, please get in touch with any of us if you have anything, because I think that's what helps us know what support's needed and things like this. But also having it in writing is really helpful, and if people have solutions that you think would work really well for your school, let us know, because we don't always know the intricacies of what goes on in your course. So yeah, just open dialogue, I think, will go a long way. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Okay. We have one more. We have one more space for one more talk. So now, Caitlin and Charlotte, you still have your hands up, although I imagine you want to put those down. Okie dokie. Now, Sunil, you can go ahead. You have 2 minutes from whenever you start speaking.
Thank you. I just want to emphasise that I do appreciate the work of Charlotte and the other SABs and officers, and it was not in any way my intention to criticise them. I'm very conscious that they are reacting and the university is reacting at the same time as everyone else gets the news, or sometimes after everyone else gets the news and it gets leaked online. I do appreciate that is a very difficult situation for you to be in and that you are doing your best. I suppose what I was trying to get across in my initial thing was more that if there is any way for the university and students' union perhaps together to make a more formal approach to the government, to the DFE, to try and be proactive and perhaps, as Caitlin says, to err on the side of caution in the interests of consistency, that might be good. But yeah, my main point is to just emphasise that this was not in any way meant as a criticism, and to extend my thanks to Charlotte and the other officers.
Thank you very much. Okay. Unless there are, so that comes to our 6 points. Now, if anyone has any objections to me finishing council now, please raise your hand and I will give 15 seconds for them to do that. Otherwise, I will be concluding council. So if you have any objections to ending council, please raise your hand now. Okay, there's no hands raised. I declare the second student council of the academic year 2020-2021 closed. Thank you all for attending. It's been very good for you all to come along. Thank you so much. We will see you all again in January. Have a wonderful break. Thank you.
Thanks everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.